Hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live. No Facebook again today. I'm having a problem with XSplit where it's not broadcasting to Facebook Live. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on there. It keeps on giving me an error message whenever I try to broadcast to Facebook here, so I'm gonna, I don't know, uninstall and reinstall the extension or something like that and see if that works. And we'll see what happens. But sorry. So no Facebook this week. I apologize. So, anyway, how's it going, everybody? Appreciate you being here. We are going to be on Lamania, showing off a bunch of stuff. We just went live less than 10 minutes ago with the preview for Update 39, Patch 2. I will go over the release notes in just a little bit, and then I'm going to head on Lamania and show off some cool stuff there as well, including Warpaint. Hello, V-Love and Javur and all sorts of folks in chat. Hello everyone on YouTube. Charles, Snow White Fox. Like I say, sorry Facebook folks, every time it just says gender has been deprecated whenever I try to go live, so I don't know what happened there, but something ain't working right. So alright, let me actually just real quick turn off the sound so I don't have this music going in the background here. There we go. Alright. Oh, let me call up one other page here too while I'm at it. I need to call up my item maker, and then we'll get going here in just a sec. I'm kind of running late. I'm actually not feeling the greatest today, but I should be able to get through the live stream. Alright, so to start off with, let's just go over those release notes. These just went live just a little bit ago. For Update 39 Patch 2, it'll be live, going to be turned off sometime tomorrow on Lamania, so kind of a short preview, but we do want to get some targeted feedback on the melee changes, and in addition, we put it on Lamania because of a thing called versioning. Since we're making changes to Barbarian DR, we wanted to make sure there were no halo effects and things like that. So anyway, here are the Lamania release notes for Update 39 Patch 2. Colors of the Queen can no longer affect allies while using Flame of the Favored. I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm not quite sure what the impetus for that particular change is, but I think it's a bug. So here's the big thing on Warpaint. 6 new items have been added to the mysterious Remnants vendor called Warpaint. These items go into the cosmetic headgear slot and apply patterns in various colors to druids in wolf, winterwolf, bear, and dire bear form. So it's not just bear die, it also affects the wolves. Level 8, 16, and 28 versions of the new Crystal Cove weapons have received an increase in their damage die to match the current dice progression in the game. There's now a minimum level on the updated Fjarling Carnival weapons. Oops. Wave's freeze effect now applies more reliably. The wave is now properly made of bone. The Curse Shard is now cold iron. Hand wraps that previously held sentient jewels can now be converted into collars. It is, however, still intended that sentient jewels cannot be slotted into collars, or convert hand wraps that currently hold a sentient jewel into a collar. This affects an issue where hand wraps at one point had sentient jewels in them, and even if you took it out, you couldn't then convert that hand wrap into a collar. So this is really just a bug. Here's a good one. The Bastard Sword's Spinal Tap now goes to D11. Because of course it does. Cold Harbor Cladding's fire no longer dispels itself. You can now get some mythic versions of things in Return to White Plume Mountain. We do have the melee survivability changes. There's been a big thread on that, but I guess I could briefly go over that. We're introducing some changes to help melee builds survive in epic and more difficult content. This is one of a first step in a longer process to make sure that melee are in a better place and add features that will be generally available to everybody. Excuse me. With changes that target specific classes or builds, like the barbarian stuff we'll get to in a second. So, epic defensive fighting. This is going to be a new automatically granted feat at level 21 and is a toggle. When the toggle is active, it's going to add a 5% competence bonus to your maximum hit points, with an additional 5% for every combat fighting style feat you have, for a maximum of 25%. That is lower from what Torque originally proposed. We've actually halved it. It was going to go up to 50% at one point, but it's now 25%. And the feats that it will add that extra 5% are the single weapon fighting, two-handed fighting, and two weapon fighting feats in addition to natural fighting. All spell or spell-like abilities affected by meta magics will have their range reduced to touch. Now, this caused some confusion on the forums, so it's worth mentioning that this won't impact things like self-healing or things that you cast on yourself. It's only things that you cast on other people will have a touch range, which, you know, is like Shocking Grasp or the Inflict line of cleric spells. Your double shot range power are 0 while active. This is meant to be melee only, not a boost to ranged. The feat is exclusive from range stances. It's exclusive from enlarge. It remains active even when you're dead. That way you don't have to keep on retoggling it on. And it can be used with other defensive and offensive stances in addition to rage. The Paladin defensive stance hit point buff has been changed to competency, which is actually what it always was, but the text was wrong. The ASMR racial hit point bonus is now a sacred bonus. And then we're doing a change that we talked about earlier, but is now in this patch, and that's Barbarian damage reduction. Is no longer just going to be like a point or 2 points or 5 points with a counter on it. Instead, it's going to be a percentage base. You start with 3% damage absorption to all damage except for Bane. This is a straight percentage of damage reduced before physical and magical resistance. This rating is increased at levels Barbarians normally get their DR increases. For just that, you can get a total of 9% at level 20. However, you could even up it a little bit from there, because enhancements in the Barbarian Occult Slayer line will increase by 1%, with a total of 4% available there. And then if you're in Fury of the Wild, passive damage reduction increases by an additional 1%. So, Barbarians can have a total of passive DR percentage damage reduction before PRR MRR calculations of up to 14%. So not insignificant there. We found a few more undead that were being healed improperly. We fixed that. In Codex in the Shroud, Fortis will no longer occasionally spawn the Sigil of Life ability randomly. That could cause basically a client performance issue. Here's one. We actually reduced the mobs in Misery's Peak, reduced the number of cultists to really kind of speed up that quest just a little bit. And then we took a lawnmower to Bits of Evening Star that recently had a frill update that was causing a few issues. And Reaper difficulty, damage and healing values now have a minimum value of 1, even if, say, in the past they would scale, because of Reaper scaling, it would be a 0. Now it's at least 1. And then here's a few things that are planned for update 39.2 but didn't make it into the preview. Power Surge is no longer considered an action boost. It now has its own set of 5 charges per rest. This has to deal with an issue where if you had Power Surge, you would activate it, and then you had the Prowess set. Prowess would proc or activate with the Power Surge ability. But because Power Surge had a longer duration than typical action boosts, and in many ways was, you know, it was an action boost, but it wasn't an action boost, because it worked like an action boost, but it didn't follow the rules of other action boosts. you would say then proc another action boost like a, you know, a speed boost or melee boost, and it wouldn't proc the prowess benefit. So on top of that, there were just some balance issues with both the prowess set and power surge. It's a fairly controversial topic. There's about an 8-page thread on the forums if you want to read more about that. Ultimately, what we don't want to have happen, which people have kind of been used to doing, is having power surge always on for a plus, what, 8 psionic bonus to all of your stats. And so it's not really intended that that be a permanent addition to your character. So instead it's going to be an action boost with its own set of charges and that sort of thing. But the duration in that's going to remain unchanged. I think we do actually have a discussion we'll have to have at some point in the future about what, if anything, we want to do with the prowess set, because it is perhaps an outlier. You know, in regard to the set bonuses, you've got prowess set and then just kind of everything else. Which is why it's sort of as popular as it is, but at the same time it's perhaps a little bit too much. I don't know. We're not making any change to the prowess set this time around, though, but it is something we're going to have to figure out what, if anything, we want to do. Kensai's one cut no longer acts like an action boost in some edge cases, and we fix an issue that was causing Enter the Kobold to not be completed. That has to do with the puzzle in Enter the Kobold. It got busted. And so we'll be able to reopen Enter the Kobold with patch 2 here. There is one known issue here on the Lamania build, which is, you know, that epic defensive fighting thing that originally was going to be a 10% bonus, and now we've scaled it back to 5%. Still says 10% in its description. Not a big deal there, but that is, however, what's going on. All right, let me get to the chat here. I know, how Spinal Tap wasn't D11 from the start is beyond me. I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, so. Hey, dude, Druid's Fire, Sabotage, Grimgrod. Thank you, Rodrigo from Brazil. We appreciate your support. Still not a fan of the melee solution, but thanks for adjusting it. Yeah, you know, this was a, actually, it might even be one of the bigger conversations we've had on the forums in quite some time. I think we hit like 30-some pages already on that melee survivability thing. But, you know, nothing is set in stone. We'll have to see what we want to do with that. But we would really appreciate if you can make it to Lamania in the next 24 hours to check this in a practical application and get us some good feedback. If those feats are auto-granted, will they still get those hit point boosts, i.e. the Ranger 2-weapon fighting? Yes. Silent. It's just going to say how many of the combat style feats do you have, and it's going to base its calculation on that. So even if you would automatically get, say, Ranger 2-weapon fighting, that will be counted. Is there any improvement forecast for archers? Not really. I mean, honestly, ranged is in a pretty good place right now. Perhaps too good, almost. But if there's some specific things we could do, you know, we'll see. Fury of the Wild's damage reduction states just tier 3. What about tier 1, 2, since those both give DR 1? Huh. Good question. I don't know about that. I'm going to have to follow up on that one. What is the reasoning single weapon fighting does not work if you go sword and board? Because it is single weapon fighting. The core of single weapon fighting is ultimately you have a sword in one hand and nothing in your other hand. Now that's been kind of tweaked a little bit to allow some things like bucklers and rune arms and there's a ability to, well, in the enhancement tree to work with, say, bucklers and orbs and things like that. But single weapon fighting is meant to be something in one hand, nothing in the other hand. So that's why no sword and board. Any reason this Lamania preview's up for such a short time? It's just sort of the way the calendar worked out. Sorry about that. I would like to see Arcane Archer and Elven Arcane Archer Elemental and Force arrows to work off range power instead of spell power, so I don't have to slot any spell power items to increase their damage. Sure. Although, thematically, I mean, it is Arcane Archer. So, I think that's why it is the way it is. Alright, let me head over to Lamania here. I am on an admin character, so let me start off here by finding a druid. And we'll take a look at some of these. Do I have a druid in the auto? Please say I do. Oh man, where's the druids? Oh, crap. Fine. Looks like I'm gonna have to do this the hard way. Alright, yeah, fine. Make a quick druid. Do it that way. Oops. I always do this. Yeah, human's fine. So, in case you... This is a admin character, so it doesn't matter what my stats are. So that's why I'm just kind of doing this. So you're going to have to watch me level up here just a little bit, because I need to take care of a few things. Oops. That's... Why is that not working? Give me just a second here. Need to look up the right admin command. Oops. Shoot. Okay. Bet you guys wish you could do that. Let me turn off hints. Don't show hints. Where's the druid train? Oh, yeah, here we go. Sorry, this is a little bit slow. I probably should have done this ahead of time, but I just ran out of time. Sorry. I will start by being there. Alright, there we go. Now, let me quick call up the ability to get the war paint. Let me see if I can just get it all at once. There we go. So we have 6 different ones here. I'll show this in just a second. I'm just creating them right now. I will get to your comments here in just a little bit. I just need to have other screens up so I can't really see it right now. Celtic 1. Alright, so, yep, here we go. Now, well, I'll clearly have to change the die on this sort of thing here, but, alright, so, let me start by moving into a... Alright, so I am now in bear form, everybody. Before I do this, let me just quick check chat. Love to see a Chain Lightning Esseland the Artificer Arcano Technician tree. Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah. I don't actually know what your question is. How many triangles do characters' maps tend to have? Are monsters still supposed to drop aggro when you are incapacitated? Yeah. Technically, they do eventually. But, yeah, there is a little bit of an issue where they're lagging behind on that. What is the weekend bonus? I'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, dude, I'm actually not feeling the greatest today, but that's okay. Alright, so, war paint. Here we go. There's the first war paint we have here. You can kind of see it adds Add sort of that to your character. Oops. You try the other monochromes. Got that one there. Yeah, so basically, you know, just kind of a thing on that. And this is an early test on this to see what we can do, and if ultimately it works out pretty well, we can add some other things. Now, I know, I can hear you right now, and I understand what you're saying, that you really want to change the color of the fur. Unfortunately, we were not able to do that due to lore reasons. I can't really get into it more than that, but unfortunately we were not able to bring that to you. Maybe if you read between the lines you'll know what I'm talking about, but unfortunately that's not something we were able to do. So we have this war paint, and there are some things we can maybe do in the future to, you know, increase the size of it, maybe, you know, change up some things and what have you. This will be available in the Mysterious Remnants vendor when update 32 or 39 patch 2 goes live. It's kind of cool though. I'm digging that. I think I like the personally I like the delicate monochrome. Yeah, I think that's probably the one I would go with. Pretty cool. Aside from this preview, there's no way to preview these war paints before you buy them, correct? Yes. We don't have a preview function with the Mysterious Remnants vendor. I mean, you could look it up on the wiki or Google. You know, the forums, I'm sure, will have screenshots and what happens. But yeah, it does seem a bit more prominent on the wolf, I agree. Flames and lightning bolts, nice. Now that's funny. I like it. Could have a little stick figure family. People would like the war paint to go across the faces too a bit. That's a cool idea. I can bring that up to the dev. Does the war paint work on Warforged? Well, it's just for druids. Druids in wolf and bear form, so. Yeah, Winter Wolf and Dire Bear. I'm gonna have to level up though to get that. Will I not? Right. Yeah, okay, I can level up to 11 here. No problem. Take a little bit of work, but I can get that done. Alright, now let's take a look at this, and the dire bear, and winter wolf. Alright, so we got winter wolf here. Actually, you know what? I can actually detach the camera to make it even a little more cool look. A little bit better of a preview. If I can figure out how to make my camera work here. There we go. Alright, let me switch over to dire bear. Yeah, on the dire bear, I wonder if that's not why. It's more on the haunches, the backside on the dire bear. I think it's just because that's where we've got the most open kind of place for it. This actually kind of looks a little bit like lightning. I do love the idea of flames, for sure. Like I say, this is a first implementation of this. We'll kind of see what we can do to expand upon it and do more with it in the future. Yeah, I agree. It is nice that these are remnants. Oh, can I dance while the cosmetic is on? I assume so. Oops. It does look like it, does it work on pet wolves? No, this is just in druid wild shape. Let me check more of this. 70s van with flaming stripes. I like it. Yeah. Is it possible we could make some kind of particle effects available eventually, since you have done this type of cosmetic for animal forms? We always have to be careful with how many particle effects we add to the mix. But yeah, theoretically, we should be able to do something like that. Z332, that's news to me, if the elemental look is not working on druids. That's funny, Mackie Bray. Yeah. It's not that it was too hard to dye the bears a solid color, it's just that we ran into some lore restrictions that prevented us from being able to go with that implementation of it. Do we have spears in development yet? We announced, in case you don't know, we announced our Sharn expansion at Gen Con. That'll be coming in 2019. We're going to have a whole lot more information about what's coming with Sharn a little bit later on. I think we do have some new weapons, or at least we're thinking about it. But I don't know if that's spears or something else. Or if it ends up not happening. But we'll see what happens. Baby on board Warpaint, yep. Little Calvin peeing on Warforged. I've used myself. Okay. Jeffrey, why don't you ping me maybe on Discord or something later, and maybe I can talk to you a little bit. But I really can't say anything more than what I just said there. Alright, so reattach the camera. What else should we look at here from the release notes? Oh, let's see if I can... Let me call up Spinal Tap here just for fun. So that's the Spinal Tap weapon. It's a very cool looking sword. As you can see, it is now 1D11. It's actually a pretty sweet bastard sword if you are looking for one at level 7 there. If the bears are rocking, don't come a-knocking. Nice. When are we getting the returning throwing mug? I keep bringing that up. I would love to see a returning throwing mug. I bet we could do it at some point. My guess is it will happen. I just don't know when. Will Spinal Tap be retroactive? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to guess yes, but I don't know for sure. I can't remember what the original base die on Spinal Tap is. 1d10 maybe? Let me quick head into Evening Star. A wine cup orb in a bathrobe, so you can look like a depressed day drinker wizard. I like it. Now that's funny.
If anyone can fathom Loth's plans, Elminster will.
You guys speak to my sense of humor. I think we had Oh, no, this guy's still, at least, maybe that didn't make it in yet. But I know we're gonna try to get Gizla out of, out of hiding here. Yeah, my guess is this didn't make it into the build done. The frills thing with Evening Star, because that's supposed to be taken care of. CC is now gone the 16th. As a matter of fact, it should be through today. I hope they didn't turn it off yet. They better not have turned it off. I need to get my stuff yet. I was doing some Crystal Cove last night. Trying to get my last bit of coving in. It should shut off tomorrow morning. Basically, whenever we activate the next boost, so let's say sometime on or before around 9 a.m. Eastern, but it's fairly flexible, so I would recommend getting it done tonight. And let me... quick make a character on... Level 30 human fighter. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Ooh, I like that idea on Flotsam, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so you can see here this still says 10% even though it's 5%. And let me toggle it on so you can kind of see what's going on. So I currently have, let's see, 1632 hit points. Now I'm going to turn on, actually let's check see what kind of combat style feat. As you can see, they've got this. Improved, oh, do I really not have? I picked the wrong character. This person doesn't have any decent combat style feats. Well, crap. Alright, fine. Let me find a different one then. There we go. Two-handed fighting. Should be fine. Alright. Alright, so combat style feat, yeah, good. Two-handed fighting, greater two-handed fighting, and improved two-handed fighting. So that should be pretty good there. And when I toggle it on, let's see, quick, get my hit points up all the way. As an induction, so yep, I go up to 2073. I'm going to guess that this is not working as intended, that it puts a cooldown on, say, rage. But it's not too long. I don't think this character has any ranged power, so. Now, real quick, let's see if I've got what I have for, like, DR and that, too, on this, if I can. Alright, so normally I would have ranged weapon power 56. It looks like this is not yet proccing yet either, but that should be 0 when I have this feat active. Looks like the tooltip's not done on this one yet either. So, alright, so it looks like we have, you know, clearly a little bit of work yet to do on this, but... a display bug as well, or it's... oh, not a display bug. Okay. Well, that's definitely a bug. Okay, well, we found that out anyway. On Lamania, that's why we are doing this. Should not be doing a cooldown on all your stuff. So. Somehow a global cooldown property is set to true. Are spells like Irresistible Dance, Energy Burst still works with that instance? Good question, I don't know. I wonder if I can somehow quick check that one out. Otherwise, it would take a lot of work to create a melee wizard type, but if we have a demo of it, maybe I can... But yes, this feat is not really set to work very well with druids. It's meant for not, say, caster hybrids. It's really meant for pure melee. So yes, it would set your spell power to 0. Why don't shield users benefit from this new feat? What do you mean? They benefit from it. If you've got, you know, any of the combat style feats and you have it active, it doesn't matter whether you have a shield or not. You should be fine. Guess I'm not quite sure what you mean. Yeah, unfortunately I don't. It's going to take me a bunch of work to create basically a fighter that also casts spells. Can't do it just right off. Well, no, I've got epic defensive fighting here. Alright. And I've got Disco Ball. Cool. Alright, so let me... oops. Not be an idiot. And actually... figure this shit out. Well, 7. Okay. Oh, why does Shield Mastery in particular not work with it? Because this is meant to... That's a good point. it isn't really meant to be for tanks, it's for non-tanks. But that said, I think you raise a pretty good case. They're, you know, something we'll have to look into. Okay, so epic defensive fighting is on. I'll have to wait for this global cooldown thing, and then I will try casting a sphere. Oh no. Sorry, Bruce. Threw out a motherboard with a quad processor on it. Ugh. That's a bummer. Can I link the robe armor my character's currently wearing? I am currently wearing the War Wizard's robes. Nice. Alright, that's on cooldown. Let's see if... Seems to be working for me. So I'm gonna guess the other one will work just fine too. I know, like, buffs and other CC stuff should generally work. It's just things that you would need to cast on other people will have a touch range on it. Oh, the front of the robe. Yeah. That is a pretty cool set of robes. I just went with default graphics. War Wizard's robes. Let me kind of quick... I think that's just the... turn in, right? Yeah, the commendations. So you just turn in 10 commendations of War Wizards in Evening Star and get that armor. And then you can, you know, glamour it or what have you if you want. So, not too hard to get those War Wizard commendations either. As you can get it from High Road, Druid's Deep, King's Forest. Is Linabelle working on the old 2015 Night Revels gear to bring it up to par with the Halloween update? I do think we're going to be doing some gear work for Night Revels, but I don't think it's a complete revamp of all the gear. I'll need to double check on that, but
Come one, come all, to
I'm
the
not sure.
Ditchen of Brothers show.
Any new enemy types coming in the near future content? We just had a whole bunch that came out with White Plume Mountain here, and there's a pretty good chance that with Sharn, we'll be seeing some new stuff too. Yes, Growler. So a while back I had talked about putting the Menace of the Underdark and Shadowfell expansion packs as a bundle in the DDO store. That would allow you to purchase them in the DDO store. That it was close to being implemented, but it's still not in the store. Are they still being planned to be made available? Yes. What ended up happening is the engineering resources just have been prioritized elsewhere. We've had a lot of kind of fires to put out and what have you, so we just haven't had time to do the work for it yet. I thought it was a lot closer than it was, and I was wrong. But it is on our agenda to do. Well, you have to be close to cocoon other players. Yes, if you have the Epic Defensive Fighting feat active. You can, of course, toggle it off, cast it, and then put it back on. Bonus. Yep, that sounds good. Let's get to the bonus here. Ah, cool. Okay, so as of tomorrow, Crystal Cove will be turned off, and in its place, we are going to have another week-long bonus. The Strength in Numbers Week. This is going to be plus 5% XP for every member in your party or raid group, other than yourself. It'll run basically through August 22nd, being turned off with the next bonus on Thursday, August 23rd. So plus 5% party and raid XP per member. Strength in numbers, so you can get up to 25% in a party and 55% in a raid. And that's going to run basically week-long from bonus to bonus. So Thursday to Thursday. How long is the toggle delay? It sounds like it, well, I don't know. It does have a little bit of a delay, as you can see, but it looks like there's also some kind of bug going on, because it's putting a bunch of other things that shouldn't be on a cooldown So I don't actually know what the delay is on that. Torque would know, but I don't have him standing next to me right now. And do you have to heal up to it? So it looks like you have to heal up to it, at least here on Lamania. So it increases your max hit points, but doesn't give you those extra hit points right now. Well, I mean, you could... Yes. I mean, you're right. You would have to cast Cocoon, wait for it to go off cooldown, and then toggle it back on. Yeah. I don't have an answer, Shoemaker, as to DDO getting a 64-bit client. They're working on it for Lotra right now. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Cosmic Dog. I, too, am loving White Plume Mountain. I know I'm the biased, but man, is that awesome stuff, huh? Alright, final check on YouTube here. Okay, got the bonus there. I hear you, though, Silent. I mean, you know, this, you know, as we've said in the thread and elsewhere, this isn't meant to be a solve all the problems solution. This is the first step toward a series of solutions here to help Melee out while being very careful not to... So the whole idea of this Epic Defensive Fighting feat is we do not want it to be a boost to ranged and spellcasters. We want... The idea is to help specifically toe-to-toe melee. So if we were to just say allow it to work towards, say, spellcasters or ranged or all that sort of thing, then we'd just be basically in the same position we are right now, except everyone would have, you know, 25% more hit points. So it is specifically targeted to assist toe-to-toe melee, take another couple of hits, maybe give their healers a little bit more opportunity to heal them, things like that. It isn't really a universal solution, and it's not for everybody. You know, this is an option, and not one that you need to take, or you need to use. You'll get it granted automatically at level 21. It's not something you need to use, but it is there if it works to your specific play style and what it is you're running content with. Like we've, you know, seen some feedback about, say, Well, what about in Reaper where two melees need to heal each other using Cocoon and things like that? Well, it's like, okay, you can do that, or you can have these extra hit points. You know, it's up to you which one you want to do. Meaningful choice is what you could call it. Now, I know some folks would prefer both, right? And of course, you always want all the best of everything. But there are specific design reasons why it is the way it is. Now, that said, we are looking at your feedback on Lamania. We're not even 100% sure we're even going live with this thing, but we'll see what happens based in large part on your feedback on Lamania here. So if you do get an opportunity to go to Lamania and see this stuff in person, we'd really appreciate your feedback, and we do have a separate thread on the Lamania forums specifically to take a look at that sort of thing. Don't forget to tune in by 11:30 Eastern next week for a chance at 500 DDO point giveaway with Shoemaker's DDO Wiki Talk. If there are more than 40 viewers, okay, Shoemaker, sounds great. Yep. So we do have a point giveaway happening before this show next week, and you could find our full schedule over on the Twitch page here, twitch.tv/DDO stream. That's going to wrap it up with the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch and YouTube, and hopefully Facebook again in the near future. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you're digging Lamania. I appreciate all the positive feedback on White Plume Mountain. I know we've all been digging it. Hope you've liked the new Crystal Cove stuff as well. I will see you again next week, and I'll most likely be on... I think it's week 2 of 2 on Galanda, if I'm not mistaken. But if not that, then it'll be Kyber. And I will see you all soon. Have fun, everyone.